Welcome guys. Today we'll have a Lightning Mage build. Yes, because we have managed to get a Zap Stick and also the Bioflow and also a few other uniques, but they're not that helpful. So the high potency natural code is not that much. There's a bit of lightning damage. I'm not sure if lightning damage is the effect increasing lightning spell as well. That I'm still yet to discover. I believe it will help. So what's happening is, for the lightning mage, we have lightning damage. A majority of the damage is lightning damage, and if you notice, we have almost no physical damage, and we have about 55k HP, 10,000 shield, which will be very useful. We're very offensive in terms of ferocity. I haven't really went into wisdom, which I'll explain why. I should go into more toughness. I'm looking at least 70k to be safe, but the downside is I want to play with my Death Gazer, and if I play with Death Gazer, I lose a lot of stats on this chest. If I go for a different chest here, I'll show you guys. See, get to 60k. And if I socket it in, I can get to 70k likely, because I can socket 3 of the HP gems easily by rolling for them, like this one. See, 65, and we can go further. So what's happening is, as a lightning mage, let me show you our spells. We have a blink. This blink does have a CD. The blink leaves a decoy, and this regenerates the willpower for us. Second to that, we have Anomaly, which is a really good debuff and also AoE control spell, and you can cast it twice. With Rage Regen and debuff, we can use the Death Gazer, which is supposed to spend the rage and give us a debuff of stasis with a 100% chance. After that, we have another defensive spell with a Bowhawk of Dawn. So what I was thinking in planning is, I'm thinking of getting the helmet and also the chest into Bruiser, or get them as heavy, because we can get a perk which will take us into the Salvatory Archery. So the Sagebreaker, the one that allows you to have the helmet and the chest to have special effect. Because over here, some of our perks may be adjusted, so right now we're just testing it out. We can definitely be much stronger. Next to that, the Bowhawk gives us a shield and also a regen. So now we heal for a lot more, and we'll also get the resistance buff. After that, the major source of damage will be Thunderstrike. There's a variety of modifiers here, which we do tickle a lot, and the best thing is we also apply Curse to enemy, and also to ourselves. What's the staff, by the way? The staff is a Zap Stick. Zap Stick gives you lots of lightning damage to spells, and on top of that, it gives you damage to attacks, and it zaps you as well. So, I'll show you. So we'll buff ourselves. Time to zap, and there you go. That's a 200k monster. We zap them to death. You should be using your potions very deliberately, and because of that, what I'll do is, I should still have 1 red potion and 1 willpower potion. Sometimes I have way too much willpower, sometimes I need life. Most of the time I just need willpower. So, and as before, we buff ourselves, can control them. Usually you don't even need to do much. Look at that, I'm getting debuffed as well, because whenever I debuff an enemy, I'll debuff myself.
That's not happening.
Oh, I'm stuck. That's not good. So we do decent damage. So hitting normal monsters, as you can see, not a problem. Let's see how we fare with the boss. So one big source of the tankiness or the survivability is that we actually have lifesteal and with spells, and also shield spell. So we can regen shield, we can regen life. Yeah, we do tons of damage with Anomaly already with a single target with normal monsters. So we save some rage. We're gonna go here and debuff those. 500,000 damage, 500,000 HP. So debuff them. It's time to lifesteal. Basically, we can sit there and lifesteal. And if they get too close, we'll move away, and then we can get the shield up. And the goal is to debuff them and lifesteal. You should be using your willpower potion very deliberately. So this allows you to pretty much have almost infinite cast with your rage. Sorry, have infinite cast with your willpower. Now, why did I put the health potion in? Is that if I don't have anything to like still, then I need the health. But if I have this spell, oh, look at this guy, he's getting helped. So this is very similar to our debuff mage. The debuff mage has curse with annihilation. Here we have thunder with annihilation. Thunder does more damage because its element is also shock, which increases damage. We also debuff ourselves heavily, if you noticed. Let's try to find another mob. So I won't say this is definitely tier 1 build, but it's a fun build with the nukes we found. We definitely want to try it out. So it took me a while to fix it, and oh boy, having some fun with it. So this is a 500,000 monster, and look at him shred. it's getting shredded. Like similar to the debuff mage, he just shreds very quickly. And there's a lot of things we have here which I'll explain to you guys. So the regular gun is not needed. Just because we had a unique, we might as well give it a try with the build. So here it's better to use AoE with the anomaly to kill monsters. Because Zap spends too much willpower and it's not effective. Because there's too many of them. So one anomaly should do it. And yeah, this does tremendous damage. Because we get the lightning zaps. It was just incredible. And also this does the static and the shock and stasis. Let's see if we can find another big monster. Yeah. Look at them go. Hop for me. If it's a single target, we'll just zap them to death. If there's lots of them, we'll just do that. The thing I started to realize is I don't blink that much with this one. I just stand there and I zap them. And I lifesteal my shield and I shield steal as well. So let's keep going a little bit. And thank you again, Telegraphy, for the start, my friend. So I'm gonna shoot one, shoot two. It's very similar to our first mage, but this one is less in terms of evasion, more like I'm gonna stand in your face, I'm gonna lifesteal it. The downside is, if the monster hits too hard, we just die in one shot. Okay, that's a monster. A big one. So 30k HP. All I did there was I applied the status debuff and then they shed very quickly. I also stepped back to get myself a shield. So, keep this thing. Notice that I'm regenerating my shield as I attack. This is the shield regen, which is very fun. Make sure we use our willpower potion very frequently because we don't have a big source of regen. Look at Blink. This is when Blink is handy. So this is 1.2 million health monster. So look at the heal. We did shred it. So it was 1.2 million and we shred him pretty quickly. And the biggest difference here is, if you remember our invisible and debuff mage, it doesn't soak damage that well. This one soaks damage a little well because we debuff the enemy and also ourselves, and we get benefits for getting debuffed ourselves because of the special perk. The downside is, well, again, I got one shot at once by the boss because my HP wasn't high enough, so my plan is to get to 70k HP and more force shield so I can lifesteal and shield steal more of it. So let's have a look at the talents and everything. I'll show you guys how well this build is. So to start things off, we have about 55k HP, 10k force shield. This is, of course, depends on the armor and gears you have, and that will make a difference. But what I did there was I had one, basically 2-to-1 with toughness and ferocity. I don't think I need that much ferocity. It just increased my damage ever so slightly and increased my critical rate, which is pretty decent at 47%. I was going for 40% and I clicked too many times. So I'm thinking of going for at least 600 toughness and get my HP to at least 70k. That'll be safer. So after that, we have the gears. Because this is a lightning mage build, I'll go through the gears first. This Zapstick is not a must-have. You can still roll for an item, which usually I prefer a gun here, which allows me to socket for another dagger or socket for another catalyst. So, well, if you're going for mage, you have your catalyst, right? So if you roll for a gun here, you can get at least the triple sockets of offensive 2, and that gives you enough spell power to get your mage going. But if you have the Zapstick, and this one does give a lot of the lightning damage to spells. Other than that, the downside for this one is, although we get the freeze and burn chance into shock chance, the downside is we shock a lot often, and we also shock ourselves. What shock does is, I'll show you guys. Shock is over here. What is shock? So shock is when we take damage over time, and that damage is lightning. So because I deliberately had 20 stacks of ailment, we actually take a lot of shock damage over time, and initially when I tried the build, I killed myself with shock. So that's something funny, and the talent tree will reflect that, how we're gonna counter the shock. After that, the second unique will be interesting. This is definitely not a must-have, because after testing, double potions is definitely enough. I don't need a willpower regenerator, and the 155 willpower gain from Railgun is not that much. The only good thing about this is it debuff enemies with 1 tier of shock and also give them 100% stasis. This definitely means that for the next 5 seconds or 3.5 seconds, we deal double damage because of the perks we have. Lastly, the amulet is not a must-have, but it is preferably to have it because it has a stat that we do enjoy. We're life stealing with life right now, and because toughness gives both force shield and life, we want to make use of the force shield. It's not a lot, it's only 10k, but the lightning damage leech with force shield means we can always get the force shield up, and it's almost instant to full with the replays you saw there. So that's the only good thing about it. It doesn't have a slot, it doesn't have a socket, it does not have, I guess it has a lot of lightning damage, but I didn't feel that it was that much. So if you look at my lightning damage, is 2759. I take it off, it goes to 2662. So what I got was about 90 additional damage there. So you see the numbers, I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a good numbers, but turns out it was not that great. The only thing good about it was the Leech 2 Force Shield. Now everything else is just standard items I found randomly, and those don't even do that much. Those are like terrible items. I was like, oh gosh. So the rings are not great. They have fire damage, which we don't use fire damage. The only thing good about it is the 800 maximum health. I know, that moment it's about maximum health. Because the transfer time, we can always socket it. And I don't actually need transfer time. I can just go with Spell Leech, by the way. Because I just drink potions for my willpower. And also the element status element chance is not that great, because the more I apply, which I will definitely apply with my lightning procs, although it's only 10%, I'll definitely be applying a lot of them, I will apply the debuff to myself as well. The belt is an interesting one. I need to guarantee that I have a curse that's on the enemy, because shadow damage give me curse that increase enemy damage taken. The basically Thunderstrike here without the belt, without that 25 spell power, it wouldn't have a shock. So I can go without the belts. I have this nice one with elemental damage on the next spell. I put it in. I don't have the curse damage. And I can go with any other belts. I can't get the curse damage. You need a belt or you need rings that give you shadow damage. And oh, where was it? Where's my blue one? There it is. So without the shadow damage, we actually don't have the curse damage element on the damage. And that means we don't do damage, higher damage over time. And that will significantly reduce our damage output. So I'll definitely have these set of files for you guys on Discord. You can play around with it, and also a few uniques we found. You can try it out as well. Now we talk about the character attributes and the item sets. We look into the skills and then the talent tree. For skills, Aether Jump is just purely for the gain of the willpower. So I have 2 willpower gaining, and I also have a decoy because sometimes we need to step back a little bit to dodge boss spells. I did not go for the minus all Aether Jump because although I have 1.4k willpower, I get trigger happy, and when I get it, I just spam it, and it increases cost of willpower as you jump. It's a great rage conversion for the rage build, but it's not great for mages, because if you get trigger happy, well, you're gonna lose all your willpower. So what I did was I gave it a little cooldown with 1 second, and that's enough, because I leave a decoy, 1 second is enough. And between the jump, if there's enemy in between, I gain willpower. So it's actually more beneficial this way, I feel. Because likely I won't need to jump twice in 1 second, right? Second to that, Anomaly is very strong. With any build, it's a great AoE source of damage. It crowd controls by pulling enemies in. It does a lot of damage, and it's got alignment chances, and I can cast 2 of them. It's just so strong. And if I have enough cooldown, the cooldown here is 8.7 seconds. The skill duration is 6 seconds. If you lower the cooldown low enough, you can almost cast it indefinitely because you can time both of them. So between the two, I'm actually pretty safe in the middle, because the enemies will be dragged in. Reading Gun. Because I'm a mage and I want to cast archer spells or hunter spells, I get the Reading Gun and I debuff enemy with stasis. This is by far the best one for me, and this is also a rage spender. So while I'm actually having too much rage, I don't want to pop my potion, I can start the fight by, let's say if I have lots of rage, I start the fight by going Reading Gun, then I go with my enemy, and I get 2 of them, and I can zap them, and we go from there, and they usually shed from here. After that, we have this spell, the Bowhawk of Dawn. This is just definitely personal choice, because the playstyle I'm going for, I'm actually losing a lot of life because I'm debuffing myself. So what I did was I increase healing, increase all resistance, increase healing, this one follows it. So if I cast it, it follows me, otherwise stays on the ground. Reduce cooldown, increase healing, and also increase duration. So I cast it, it takes 1 second to cast and makes you feel tankier. The resistance we gain is not that much higher. Let's see what happens when it disappears. It's about, what, 25%? And maybe a little higher, about 20 to 25% resistance. So this makes it a little tanky, and I do plan to change my perk a little bit. I'll explain to you guys to make myself even tankier. After that, we're gonna go for the Thunder Strike, which is major source of damage. The perks here went for the, so this is the perks I went here. I think I quickly went through it. And the perks here for the Thunder Strike is we want element damage, because likely we zap for a lot. Chance to strike from the sky means additional damage. We have the critical score. They're basically taking us to, where's my crit chance? It takes us to 56% crit chance, even higher with other costs. So we have the willpower here, minus willpower, average damage increase. We also increase critical chance against shocked units. That's what I meant by increase critical chance even further, because they're pretty much always shocked. And also critical chance damage and also average damage. Nothing too special, you can mix around to your preference. I think for a Lightning Mage, as a major source of damage, this one needs to be low cost and consistent so you can keep casting. So what I do is I hold on to this, I start popping potions, and I don't let it go. I start popping potions. Notice I keep having my rage over a threshold, and this will reason for that as well. So let's get into the talent tree. Let's have a look at our Gate of Fate. So this Gate of Fate is here because I want to again to show you guys what my thoughts and process are, and I want to share you guys the testing so you can actually respect into a better Gate of Fate. And of course our level might not be level 90, so you can take and pick. So one of the major ones I'll guide you guys through, and one of the useless ones I'll talk about that as well. So what I really want to get in is actually this perk, Salvation Echo, which allows me to be super durable with my Bruiser or my heavy chest, and also heavy armor or heavy helmet, or the Bruiser helmet and then have heavy helmet. So the top two are the best, health regen and also resistance. After that, I also want to spec into this one, because you just saw we're basically standing in front of the enemy, we're life stealing, we're doing more damage by standing still, and this is perfect for me. So I do want to spec into those. And this perk, I think it's a little broken right now because they said they're gonna nerf it, but before they do, we might pick it. But if they don't nerf it, I might still take it for the resistance. Not bad. Getting to the traits now. So what was I initially thinking is our build, because of Zapstick, we have to remove debuff. So eventually we'll have to come here with a Fatal Pack. This allows you to debuff yourself, and when you inflict debuffs, you debuff yourself, but each time you remove the debuff, you gain a benefit. Here we'll be applying status, curse, we'll also be applying the electric, basically shock. So what that means is we'll be getting movement speed, we'll be getting our resilience, we'll also be getting a heal of 30% of max health and max shield whenever we apply 10 stacks of that. And because we can apply up to 20 stacks, that might actually be not that good, we shall see. So, and over here is when I inflict elements to myself, there's an increased chance of inflicting elements, because I want to quickly get over to 10 and get the positive buffs, then getting debuff on myself. So that's definitely crucial for the build with Zapstick. After that, we want to apply multiple debuffs for two reasons. One is that most of the spells have a debuff fixed to it. Lightning is shock, ice is freeze, basically shadow ones are curses. So these things I want to make sure I can apply debuff twice, and this allows me to apply a curse to my long casting spells like the shock ones, so I can do increased damage over time. I also went for a point here to double the element stacks inflicted. I didn't go for the additional 2 points, maybe it's okay, maybe better. So this means it's 50% to inflict twice. I can go for actually 100%. So my theory was, do I want to inflict that fast? I might be doing harm to myself initially, but after thinking about it, I think it's okay to go for those two if I have a spare point. Okay, the tea is still hot. So now, as we start the rounds, I'll actually focus on a few of the crucial points, then we go through how we actually level up and how we perk at the start of this build. So after that, we'll definitely be looking at something over here, the which time cannot heal. This is the status debuff, and you see with most of my builds, I go for this one if possible. If I can get the Railing Gun or the Death Gazer, I can get them to debuff enemies. Here I'll be going for this one, and also the one next to it with Die Ejector, So monsters can't one-shot us, we lifesteal back with Leech and Shield Leech. And those two are pretty common, so you do see those two, and this gives you more health, this gives you more damage. What you don't see is this one. Now, initially I thought is if you apply status onto enemy with an attack, then you can gain casting speed. I was like, that's pretty good. So if I apply status with my Death Gazer, which is an attack spell, I was like, hey, it's an attack, right? Yeah, it's an attack. And I was like, hey, this can debuff enemies. And this debuff gives me casting speed. And this up to about 5 stacks, so 75% casting speed. But then what I realized is I wasn't applying the Death Gazer that often, and this particular perk is not that useful. So likely I'm getting about 15 to 30% cast speed, and I don't really need that much cast speed. I just zap. I don't even move. So I definitely recommend going for the Die Injector and also Witch Time Cannot Heal, but I wouldn't recommend going for Captured Velocity. That's something I want to share with you guys. After that, because I have been trying to keep my willpower high over 75 by drinking potions, so we actually crit for a lot more. And that's why I've said usually 40 or 50% is enough crits, because there's so many inbuilt crits in the skill. So here while I'm casting, I keep pressing potions and you can hold on to it. So, well, I'm out of charges. But yeah, there's something you can do. But in the turn you get charge refill, right? Let's have a look. In the turn, you should refill a potion. I'll do it manually. There you go. So if you look at the potions, those willpower potion and also the rage potions is actually really powerful because they have 50 stacks and each charge uses 10 of the stacks. So that means you can use the 5 times each. That's 2,500 willpower, and that's if you haven't killed anything. If you kill something, you get more charges back, and this repeats. So I can really stay here indefinitely with that for a long time, as you can see. Now, after that, there are some nice ones. This one means if I cast the spell, I get more power from the last spell. So the spells I'll be swapping between them two is going to be the Anomaly. And also after Anomaly, I'll be switching into the Thunderstrike. Sometimes I have the Death Gazer, but that's not massive, because this is just for a boost of damage. Tenet, we can talk about it. It's just so that we don't get one-shotted, but all in all, because I'm standing still, I'm not dodging a lot, so this is not that effective, because eventually this goes to 0, or this goes to 1 stack pretty much, because we always get damage every 2.5 seconds by not moving. Yep, let's get into the Tenantry. So, right into the Tenantry, we want to build for critical damage because you can tell that we had so many critical multipliers here. So getting more critical chance is not bad. We do want to curve in over here for the 100% critical hit damage, which is really good for us. Minus 30% damage is definitely nothing for us, because this is a multiplicative one versus an addictive one, and we benefit so much here. After getting critical hit damage, we can also look towards this path, because we want double elements. So we can perk further with additional health and reduction to the spell casting. And as we go here, I don't really need the element, I don't really need the force shield, so I did go directly to the double elements. I don't really need the increased chance and I don't need the damage, so we didn't go for those. As I said earlier, I don't mind applying twice because that means I remove my debuff quicker. But the downside is I don't think I need to invest too much into it unless I spare points. Followed by that, I went into this side to look into the static transfer. Initially I thought an attack will be the attack spell, but it turns out attack is actually normal attack, so this is not useful. I thought if this is attack spell, our Death Gazer will be triggering this into more lightning damage, and that'll be beautiful. But in the end, that's not the one, so you definitely don't want to go here. And also, the Sparkling Dart does not feel very powerful. So this is definitely a detour we went in, we tested, and it doesn't give enough damage. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points we can save up here. There's a few of the lightning damage here that I picked, and also some resistance, but it's not that much. So you definitely want the global lifesteal. I would recommend going for more global lifesteal with your skill sockets. I do not need that much transfer time because my Death Gazer is not that effective. And if that's the case, I can go with 4 global lifesteal here with spell, and after that I can go with more of it into my sockets of gems. So if you look into the gems, some of the gems actually provide the life leech For example, this one provides 2% life leech with lightning spells, and that's something we can take. And other ones, not so much. I don't leech for either that much, so I recommend going for the blue one that gives us life leech from lightning spells. And this can rack up your regeneration and defensive capacities. Now, coming back here, we will be considering this one simply because, well, this one, I'm not sure how effective it is. I think lightning corresponds to increased damage inflict elements for a few seconds, because lightning was the third one. All this lightning corresponds to the increased critical chance. So I'm not too sure. I didn't get a clearance on it. I thought I'd give it a try. I was critting quite often, but I can't tell the difference. So this is optional, and this is just for RNG purpose. Because I'm spamming lightning spells, and likely I get the chance of lightning. And this gives me chant lightning at the cursor location. So 10% to cast lightning spells and clear AoE. It's not great, but it's something fun. If you're going for mages, I'll recommend giving it a try. And I was going for rotation of spells with force and fire. Turns out they don't do much. So I went for more defensive, with the Bowhawk. I went for, Blinks. I went for the Death Gazer here. So this is only for the lightning spells. It's a little letdown. I should have went for all three of the elements, but I couldn't make it effectively. So after those perks, what you can do is you can also come through here. You can get the spell damage, element damage, and you get all of those. You can also consider getting the 150 max willpower because more points are freed over here. Going over here, two things that's great. One, we spoke about it. You do additional spell damage after casting one spell, the next one does more. Second to that, there's more crits. Because it's more crits, you have more critical damage to counter that, to fix that. So we spoke about this side as well. The tenets, we spoke a little bit about it. So basically what we're taking is we're taking anything that gives us protection. I think having more elements is great because here having 20 elements means we can debuff the monster up to 20 stacks. I believe there is a few more elements we can take onto the enemy. Where are they? Oh, I can't find it. So I believe you can get up to 30 elements, but I think 20 was enough for me at this damage level. That's why I didn't go further, because I was worried I'd debuff myself too much. But after reading this, I only debuffed 10 stacks. So all in all, this whole build definitely won the detour here. I can go with a variety of things. Here I can go for more debuff, I can go with more rage, I can go for more HP, maybe on the perks, or maybe more critical chances. The tenets points. The tenet points means we don't get one-shotted, and this is also a protective one with the Dire Injector. We spoke about that at the start. Now, if you want to use your points effectively here, again, I'll suggest to go for the armor and the helmet that gives you special effect, and also go with the standing still. I call it standing still or stationary because you get more damage by standing still and more resistance, which is really good. You're looking at how many stacks? You get 10 stacks, you're looking at 100% more resistance. If you happen to have heavy armor and heavy helm, oh boy, you'll be like a lightning torrent. You don't move, you're like a tower, you shoot lightnings at them. And yeah, this is pretty much the build. The fun part is this build makes you feel invulnerable while you have your combo going. As long as enemy don't one-shot you, as you debuff enemies, you'll be getting cursed, which, in return, the curses will become your benefit. The curse you have become resistance, the status effect you have increase your movement speed, which is actually pretty hard to get to 10 stacks. And lastly, the lightning perks you have instantly heals you for max life and max shield. That's why you want to push for a little more life and shield and have a little less ferocity, I believe. So this build will be shared onto the Discord channel as usual, and all the items here will be also shared with you guys. Definitely give it a try, give it a mix. Let me know what you think. And I think it's definitely an interesting one. It did require a few of the fine items, and mostly I think the Zapstick was the reason I went for the curse and self-curse build. So I'm like debuffing myself. The first time I tried it, I ran in, I was like, take that monster. Then I had 7 stack of curse, monster one-shotted me. I was like, oh gosh. Then I went back and I perked into this one. So I was like, I need this spell. So lots of testing, lots of fun parts, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We also just posted the poison build with the debuff. I plan to make maybe a summoner hybrid poison. I plan to make more builds. It does take me a few hours researching and testing things out, but once I get it to a standard level and moderately nice, I'll share with you guys as the first version. We'll improve it together, and in the future we'll have a solid build. Even with updates, we know what to do and we know what to adjust. So good thing about Wilson is not only it's easy to understand, it's more flexible for different players with different playstyle. Some likes to dodge, some likes to go invisible, others likes to, stack poisons, stack lightnings, or curse themselves for better debuff and better buffs. Thank you again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow on Twitch to support me. Please also leave a kind comment and maybe a like on the YouTube channel if you could. Thank you again, guys. I'll see you guys next time.